You ready? Terrific, thanks. So Matthew Clark, calling to order the Monday, December 30th meeting of the Economic Development Commission. And we will start with, I'd like to make a couple motions. We've moved some of these things around, but we'll start with public participation. Encourage public participation. If there's anybody out there who wants to let us know what your thoughts are, the floor is yours. Hi, Joan, how are you?
Just wanted to say hello and Happy New Year to everybody. And thank you all for continuing to work on these projects. I really appreciate all you do for the town.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Joan.
Okay, I'm just going to listen. I'm interested in how the plan is going along.
Terrific. Thank you.
Okay.
If it's okay with you guys, I'd like to make a motion that we move the approval of minutes and the reports correspondence to number 3 and 4, and then we move our commission business to after that. Is that okay with you guys?
For me.
Yeah, that's fine.
Was that Mike?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm fine by that.
All right, good. So we'll do approval of minutes. I read over the minutes as usual. I have to say, John, I know that you guys think I'm amusing in my talking about different items, but I go to a lot of meetings, and I'm a member of a couple of different boards and stuff like that. No one gets their minutes done as quickly and as efficiently as the Economic Development Commission. No one.
Wow.
Hats off. Thank you, John.
Sure. I'm typing as we go, so it's easier that way.
Don't let anybody know your secret. You know, you're going to cut everybody else's salary. So it's just terrific. So I'd like to make a motion that we accept the minutes of November 25th, 2024.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the ayes have it. Minutes are approved. Any reports, correspondence that we have? I'm not familiar with any. Didn't receive any, John.
No.
Okay, good. Good. So now we'll move to commission business. And we'll go with, if it's okay with you guys, I'd like to make a motion that we've switched the order here slightly. I'd like to do A is the tax stabilization tax stabilization ordinance. B would be strategic plan, C would be commission goals, and D would be other business. Is that okay with everyone?
Okay by that.
Yeah, good. So if we take up the tax stabilization ordinance, I think I'd like to make a motion for our board to recommend to the Board of Selectmen that the Board of Selectmen research and debate and approve a tax stabilization ordinance for the town of Willington. This would be, my understanding anyway, would be on a case-by-case basis. At this level, at our commission level, we don't need to decide all about all the parameters and how it would work and how it would be operationalized. All we need to do is think strategically, it makes sense for us as a town to look at and bring it before the Board of Selectmen, a tax stabilization ordinance, in order to promote business formation and businesses moving to Willington in order to increase our tax base. I don't think we need to get overly specific about it. So, and we're joined by Ernie, and Ernie, you have a lot of experience in these in economic development, and that's my understanding. I don't think we would have to go and have a lot of specifics in here. We just need to make a motion. The motion would be that we would recommend the Board of Selectmen do this, and then that would be reported at the next Board of Selectmen meeting, and they'll take it up on our recommendation.
I agree.
So we need a second for that motion.
And
Matt, so that's your motion to have the Board of Selectmen consider it.
Yeah.
Do you have we need a second for that?
I'll second it.
Okay, thanks, Michael.
Seconded by Mike Johansson. Ernie, you wanted to
I would just say, as a outside consultant, I'm very supportive of what you're doing here.
Yeah, thank you.
Good idea.
Yeah,
Smart.
Well, it provides the leeway for us to move forward. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen. It just means that we're going to look at it and it's the gestalt or the opinion of this group that the Board of Selectmen should do that. So we have a mover and a second. We have a commentary by Ernie, our consultant. Any other discussion?
No, it's a common practice. I think it's a great idea.
So with that, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. So, John, I'll be in touch with you, and we will just do a one paragraph letter to Board of Selectmen saying, you know, on our letterhead and all that kind of crap stuff.
Terrific.
Thank
Yep.
you, Joan. Saying we're going to do this, and then we'll operationalize that. The next thing would be the strategic plan update to include Ernie of Strategy 5. Ernie and I were talking just briefly before the meeting was being recorded. I read over all of the preliminary materials or draft materials sent over about a month ago, outlining the different groupings or clusters. Ernie, you got a different terminology for it, but groupings or clusters of businesses and business formation and business marketing that would be appropriate for Willington. And that's Bernie's done this in a bottom up type of approach rather than a top down type of approach, with a lot of legwork and a lot of effort and community development. So in terms of the report itself, you know, or the materials that I read over, the preliminary ones, was really well done. So it was really clearly communicated the reasons why some kinds of development and growth in Willington are probably not going to happen here, and why some other kinds of growth and development really are appropriate for our town, our geography, our socioeconomics, and our community. And so I thought that was really, really well done. With that preface, I'll turn it over. I guess, Ernie, if it's okay, I'll turn it over to you to run us through where we are in terms of status.
Yeah,
Next steps. Is that okay?
absolutely.
Thanks.
So, the breaking news, as it were, as about, John, what, about 4 hours ago? I delivered a complete strategic plan final report to John and Mike, albeit in draft form, and which will remain for a while, and we'll get into that. But the plan is complete, and we look forward to getting the report and the plan document to you soon, as we're able to have John and Mike give a review. I've still got I'm working on some fine tuning and editing, polishing, and, you know, things like that. But it's 80 pages as it sits, and I feel pretty good about the work that is going to hopefully propel you guys into some meaningful economic development. And so it's a good milestone. We're on track in terms of our schedule, and I'd like to talk a little bit more about that and some next steps in terms of schedule and so forth. But I have packed it with as much meat as was able to put in it, and I've also tried hard to put my knowledge, my professional experience, the skills, the tactics, and so forth of 30 years in this business and hundreds of projects across the country into this, for you guys. And I hope that you find it, as useful as I think that it can be. And so I can elaborate further on a little bit of the content, but there's a lot of detail in this report. And so in due course, we'll look forward to obviously going through it, with you all in detail. So the report is on its way. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
So to Ernie, just to clarify, so the last thing that I think this commission saw in terms of work product was the analysis of the 5 in sort of industry clusters or sectors or development types, and the sort of front end economic development analysis you had done on that, the fiscal analysis. And so if I'm correct, that's been, you know, you keep working on that. And then you also, thanks to a lot of the research you did on the town end, did some analysis on the cost side of the cost benefit equation. And then, you know, basically added summary analysis and conclusions essentially to a lot of that.
Yeah.
That's what's not been seen yet.
So, you know, we've just closely followed our scope of work, you know, that's set forth in our contract. That's like the methodology for preparing the plan. And I think the 2 items that I sent a month or so ago, one was the market analysis, and then the conceptual development programs, which
That's what
gets
they were.
into these. We were tasked with preparing 3 alternative development scenarios. That was the language in the original RFP that you put out, and so we put those into the context of these conceptual development programs. So one is for a prototypical commerce park. One is for a prototypical hotel, and then the third one was for a prototypical life science cluster. And so that material has been wrapped into and revisited in the context of the overall strategic plan. But we've also done a economic and fiscal impact analysis. We dipped our toe in the water on that in the conceptual development program tech memo, but we get into job creation, small business development, capital investment levels, a whole bunch of stuff. A funding and finance strategy, which really is heavily weighted toward capturing private capital, minimizing the public costs associated with development, action steps for implementation, some policy recommendations. You know, there's a lot, you know, of additional material that's in the strategic plan above and beyond what's been provided to you so far. So it's all of a whole.
So looking forward, I'm sorry, John, did you have something else?
No, I was going to go where you're going next, which is, I think, schedule. Yeah.
Right. So looking forward, I think next steps would be, you know, John and Mike will provide a copy or forward to us. Each member will read it over thoroughly, take notes and stuff like that.
Right.
And then I think we provide feedback on the material.
Right.
And recommendations or any enhancements that need to be made. And then it's into implementation phase, which would be, you know, the committee, the commission itself starting the process of implementing and prioritizing what we want to implement first, second, third, and stuff like that. Is that, John, is that what you were going to say too?
Yeah, and I think what we probably want is for Mike and I to read through, and then as you say, distribute to the EDC. And then I think ideally what we'd want to do is schedule essentially a final report presentation by Ernie. That would be, you know, hosted by EDC, but possibly held independent of an EDC meeting, a general, you know, town presentation.
Town presentation, yes.
Yeah. So we're all on the same page. If I may, just put a little bit of finer point on a couple of scheduling matters in this regard. So today's the 30th of December, and in talking with John today after sending in the report, we figured to give, and I've still got some more work to do on it. As I said, I'm doing some final editing and polishing and, you know, so forth and so on. And then I've got to take John and Mike's input, assimilate that. And so I figure about 2 weeks roughly to get that done. So I have on my calendar here a goal of providing the EDC with, it'll still be a draft, okay? But providing you with a finished report on or about the 13th of January. So it's basically about 2 weeks. And then my suggestion would be that 2 weeks following that would be on or about the 27th of January. We're just to back up half a step. So our contract calls for us to do 2 public meetings, if you will, pertaining to the strategic plan. So one was obviously the open house that we did. And so the second one, I figure we can combine, I'll come down, whether it's on the 27th or whatever date, you all decide upon, right? I'll do like a PowerPoint presentation. It'll be open to the public, as all EDC meetings are. And if it's a separate from an EDC meeting, whatever the procedure for that is. In the interim 2 weeks, if you all can get back to me with any input, thoughts, questions, concerns, whatever. We do a presentation on or about the 27th of January.
Yep.
Then we can assimilate any additional public input based on the presentation and the draft of the whole plan. And then that would put us then to deliver the final in mid-February. Okay, that would be like another 2 weeks, right? Which would put us on, we went under contract on February the 15th of 2024. And there was it wasn't a hard date, but in the contract and in the RFP that you put out, it was suggested that the work schedule for the strategic plan was to take about 1 year. And so if we deliver the final in mid-February, we're hitting it right on the nose in terms of that 1 year window, if you will. And then from there, you got a whole lot of work to do. And we'll talk about that, but does that sort of sequence of the next couple of weeks
Yes,
sound about right?
sounds about right to me. Bill, do you have any input?
Ernie, one question with regards not having a copy of the draft from the financial side. Is it laid out in there the present economics of the town with regards to the revenue that's being generated and the costs that the town is experiencing?
Short answer is yes. So I've reviewed in some detail the budget for the town, including the approved 2024-2025 budget, and sort of how that breaks out, and then how that compares with sort of the bottom line fiscal impacts that the 3 catalyst projects can provide, as well as the other things that are recommended and proposed that you'll see in the strategic plan. And then on the cost side, I was kind of hoping to meet with the budget, folks and the finance people, which we weren't able to put together so far, although we could still do that. But what I did was take a percentage of what's shown as the public works and what's the other one? So public safety and public works are cost items that are typically sort of balanced against the fiscal revenues. Now you have like administrative costs of running the government and other things, and that gets treated as well in the economic and fiscal impact analysis that's in the plan. But it works out that the public safety and public works line items equal about 10% of the town budget. And so what I did, I backed into the fiscal cost factor, if you will, and just took 10% of the projected fiscal revenues, okay, and deducted the 10%, and which is all spelled out in line items in the impact analysis to arrive at sort of a net fiscal impact. Now, the economic impacts are that's a whole nother kind of category, but so we are addressing the reality that there are some costs associated with new development.
Then,
And so those are essentially accounted for to the degree that we're able to do it at this point.
is there anything in there with regards to a trend analysis going back 3, 4, 5 years with regards to, or is it just looking forward?
Well, that's a good question. I have to say that we haven't done any kind of a retrospective trend analysis. Although, you've got data here in the budget summaries going back to like 2022, 23. That's only a couple of years. But, the bottom line is that the costs keep rising.
Well,
And
Ernie, I'm not trying to poke holes in
no,
what we're talking
no,
about.
it's a good question.
I just think if we have a town meeting that people ought to see the recent history
Right.
of how our tax base continues to rise as our costs continue to rise, and the
Mhm.
resolution to that is to bring in more economic development.
Yeah, no, it's a point well taken, Bill. And I mean, that's something that wouldn't be a big deal. We could delve into that a little further. So I'll give that some thought, and I'll take another look at the budget matrix that I got here. And then after you all see the report, if you feel like, we should expand that discussion a little bit, I'd be happy to do that.
Great, I agree. That's
Very,
something
very
was-
good. Very good, Bill. And I agree as well. I know that in the materials you already sent over, Ernie, there was I think it actually did project tax revenue for different development types. But
Right.
they're not clusters. What did you call them again?
Well, conceptual development.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Or
CDP.
also, we could also call them catalyst projects, because these are, well, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so actually it's a balancing or a comparison of our needs as outlined by Mr. Rankin in terms of the trend in our budget needs. And then, presenting at the same time, here's what we get, if we have these developments.
Well, exactly. And so just to kind of put that into some context, so if you take the tax revenues, the net new tax revenues from those three projects, right? Calculated as we have
Mhm.
based on the town's tax framework and so forth. Those revenues would equal about 10% of the town's current total budget revenues. So it's a pretty good chunk, I mean, so that's one of the things we've been striving for, is to, propose some projects and policies and so forth that can actually move the needle. And then we also address, smaller businesses, smaller enterprises, smaller impact projects as well. That's included in the plan also. But we do try and frame that understanding of the impact that these larger projects that are supportable in the marketplace, that also meet the criteria that the town has conveyed in terms of the POCD for appropriate economic development and so forth. So yeah, I mean, it's an important part of the overall plan to understand those relationships.
So plan moving forward, Mike and John review, the commission reviews, we forward recommendations to Mike and John. They forward to Ernie. And we've mapped out a schedule of 113, somewhere around 113 for final report and 127 for public presentation.
Right.
I think we should probably have that at the library the same way we did before, for the last public portion of this project.
So I'm sorry, Matt, you're suggesting, so we want to, maybe we'd want to schedule that now, right? If you want to do essentially an EDC meeting, public presentation of this, essentially at your January meeting?
I'm not, well, let's see how it goes. We haven't seen the report yet, but tentatively,
Okay.
yes. But let's see,
Exactly.
let's not make it official until we actually see, review, and provide. And then if we're still on track, we'll still do that. But it should work out.
Yeah. Okay.
And if for some reason, you wanted to do it like on the Saturday prior or something like that, I mean, I'm flexible, I'm at your disposal as far as anything like that goes, for sure.
What do you guys think? I'm interested, Mike and Bill and John. What do you guys think about I mean, there's two ways to go about this to present the results of this work. One way is to have this kind of presentation be at the library with a heavy focus on in-person. So, most of the people when they see library will be like, okay, that's an in-person meeting that I need to go to. And the other way of going about it is to say, well, no, this is not, you can show up in person, but you can also Zoom in. So that would be a meeting at the town hall. What do you have any thoughts on this? I'm kind of leaning towards at the town hall rather than the library in-person kind of focus. Do you have any thoughts on this? Does that make sense what I'm saying? You understand what I'm getting at?
What's your rationale, Matt? Why
My rationale is I want to have this be as broad as possible, and I think having Zoom would make it a lot broader distribution than something, a public forum in a library with a heavy in-person focus where you wouldn't get Zoom participation.
Do they not have the capacity for like a community?
I don't know. We are blessed. We are blessed. We're blessed. Yeah, we're blessed with a library board member, Joan.
Yeah, I was gonna just stick my 2 cents
Sure.
in for a little bit. If you do want to have it at the library, I would recommend that you make one date or reserve maybe 2 for an alternate as soon as possible. I would recommend that we do it at the library.
Okay.
Zoom, I don't know what experience yours has been with Zoom, but with ours, very few people actually jump onto Zoom. And
Okay.
so we had such a good turnout when we had the in-person that I would recommend it again.
We
And
did.
I think people will pay more attention if it's in person. But anyway, get your reservation in early, and I think it's a great idea.
And we could, if the library doesn't have something set to go, well, we can grab equipment. We can grab the owl from town hall, and perhaps a pull down screen or something like that, where we could do a hybrid thing where people would essentially be almost like closed circuit. You'd kind of be watching the proceedings in the room.
Right.
We could work on that.
That'd be wonderful.
Yeah,
That'd be great. Mike Johansson, do you have any input on that?
I was just gonna note, I mean, the time of year too, January 13th, 14th-ish. I mean, no one has any idea what the weather could be too. And if it's on a Saturday, depending on time, we don't have an event like we had last time on the town green that at least people were already out and about. So we could be relying on people to leave, a nice, warm, comfy home in the middle of January to come out. So they may be a little bit reluctant. So at least being able to offer a hybrid where they could at least jump on. I kind of see that as at least a something to offer, just as a partial alternative to try to get as many people as possible.
I'm looking at my calendars here.
Matt,
Um,
the library has new connections just put in for internet, et cetera, and we've got very good connections if you want
Good.
to go with a hybrid.
yeah, I think we would do that. Unfortunately, folks, the week of the 13th is out for me. I'll be on vacation. I won't be in Cape Hatteras like Bill, but I'll be on vacation.
Week of what, of February 13th?
No, I'm sorry, that was January. Final report, oh, I see. No, 127. Didn't we say 127 would be it?
For the public.
Oh, yeah, so that would be the next scheduled EDC
Right,
meeting.
my mistake, sorry.
All right, so now I apologize, folks. I think I misled everyone. So 113 is final report. 127 would be presentation, is that right?
Yes.
Right.
That's an aggressive schedule, by the way.
Yeah, it
Well,
is.
I think a lot will depend on Mike and I being able to turn around our comments pretty quickly to Ernie
Well, and the commission as well,
and the
right?
commission, certainly.
so
Um,
2 weeks for John and Mike to turn around some comments. 2 weeks for the EDC to turn around comments. Then the public meeting, and then there's time after that, because it'll still be a draft at that point.
Yeah,
And so, and then 2 weeks after that, the two
Right.
weeks for that, so it's altogether, it's about a month and a half from today.
okay. All right. Good. And any other things? John, when do you think you can send over a copy of that stuff to us?
I guess, well, I want to defer to Ernie just to see what you want our comments first. You're going to make some edits and then we'll send to the commission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
no. Just send us the work product. We don't have to wait for that. We need to have time to review as the commission. So why wouldn't you just send us a PDF and we can start?
Well, I have a little more work to do on it, Matt.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, I was working on it like this morning up until the time I sent it to John.
That's fine.
So, but it's like some just editing and things, but I'd like to, if it's agreeable, I'd like to get John and Mike's comments and, let them provide that input while I'm doing what I need to do. That's over the next, week or so. Clean it up, I want to give you as close to a finished product as I can, even though again, it'll still remain a draft for a month or so.
Well, I mean,
But
if the line in the sand is the 13th for the latest, and you can improve that date,
Right.
then I agree with Matt. The more time we have to review it, the better chance we have in hitting this kind of schedule.
So that sounds fine to me, and I'm gonna just keep working away at it, and then I'll wait for John and Mike's thoughts, and hopefully we can turn it around. We'll turn it around as quickly as possible. John, is that?
Yeah, no, I was targeting the end of the week to get you comments.
Yeah.
All right, good. Good, Bill?
I'm good.
All right, great. So, this is good. I think, I'm turning to my agenda. We had 2025, moving on from our strategic plan. I'll close out discussion on that one. Is anything else anybody wants to say about that? If not, I'll move forward.
Well,
Go ahead.
no, I said I'm all set. I'm all set.
Oh, so seeing none, moving forward to 2025 commission goals. If it's okay with you guys, I think we can table this until we get our strategic plan, because a lot of what our goals are going to be moving forward has to do with the strategic plan and the results thereof. I had, just my thoughts. I wrote down a couple of things for 2025. One was to review our outreach or our communications and decide, understand what we're doing now. And, look at how we can enhance and do a better job at that. So those are my thoughts on the commission goals.
I wanted to just add a little piece to that because that was actually similar to the top of my list was kind of public participation and education to try to engage the public more. And part of that was really fueled by everybody's shock of their tax reassessment that happened and the fact that people really don't understand how these systems work and they're ready to go, get torches and bring it to town hall to fight the tax assessor. And there's so many people that don't understand, the Connecticut statutes that are in place that are mandatory per towns.
Yeah.
And again, I think I know it's easier said than done, but trying to engage the public more and educate them on whatever we can to just bring them up to speed. And any way, any little bit that we can do, I think will just benefit the work we're trying to do that much more. And then the implementation ultimately of the strategic plan once it's out. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that as well, Mike. So in a nutshell, I think we're I don't know what they don't call them assessments, they call them valuations. I'm not quite sure what the proper terminology is.
The reval.
Yeah, the
Correct.
revaluations have gone out and people are seeing, 30, 40, 50% increases in the value of their properties, and they're
Right.
applying to the current mill rate. That's not how it works.
right.
So there's a reval, the values go up, and then there's a budget that is done by the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Finance, and then the Board of Finance sets a mill rate that is applied to the value to fund the budget. So I think I have that correct. I said that correctly. Bill, you've been through more of these than I have. I have that correct, right?
You do.
So yeah, it's not that there isn't a linear relationship between what you saw on the piece of paper that was delivered to your house via US mail and your current mill rate. So anyway, I think that's what you're saying as well, Mike,
Yeah.
right?
Correct. Yeah, just trying to educate the public on what we're trying to do and driving factors and necessity and whatever we can put out there just to
Right.
show
Right.
it.
And to be quite honest, and forthright, to build some kind of a consensus that we need economic development in our town. Some folks don't want any economic development at all, none, and they're willing to pay higher taxes, a lot. And other folks want to see economic development balanced against higher taxes so that it mutes out a little bit of the increase that we're going to be seeing. So hopefully we can reach some kind of a compromise on a way forward here.
Agreed.
Anyway, does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
It does.
Um,
I'd like
any
to
other-
see, I'd like to recommend that we revamp, or I can't even tell you what the status of the SDZ is right now. I know it got tabled back with the I-84 distribution center. And I think we need to have get that back up on the table. Mike did a lot of good work. Mike did a lot of work on that. And it's necessary so people who want to help us in the development understand what it takes to do work, that we're open for business.
Mhm.
Right.
Bill, I'm kind of glad you brought that up because that is something I've been also in the course of things here, revisiting. And in the strategic plan, there's sort of a review of the town's different zoning districts and, where they are and, how they apply to the economic development situation and so forth and so on. But I've been wanting to talk with Mike in particular about what'd you call the SDZ?
Yes, the strategic development zone.
Yes, because that is my understanding, and I would like to learn more about it so that I can properly treat it in the plan. But that kind of thing can be really instrumental in moving economic development projects forward. So I think Mike's out, is he out of town or just off for a couple days or
Both.
both? Well, anyway, that's another thing here in the next little bit. We'll try to get a little bit more information on and then have a discussion with you guys about it as well. But I'm intrigued to learn more about it because, like I said, you know, that sort of mechanism can be really important.
Communications perspective, unfortunately, we move forward, this commission and the P and Z move forward with an SDZ, Strategic Development Zone, which essentially decreased barriers to entry or decreased barriers to application, if you will. But still kept in place all the checks and balances that a development would have to go through. They just wouldn't have to spend so much up front. And unfortunately, that was the first trial for that was a wildly unpopular development
I agree.
proposal. And from a communications perspective, as a marketing guy, I can tell you, you know, people don't look at details. They only look at the broad strokes. And the broad stroke was this thing was passed, and then we got a monstrosity that I hated. So therefore, I hate the SDZ. That's what caused it. This is what caused this. That's what they think. It didn't, but that's what they think. So I don't know how to move forward off of that. But that's the situation we find ourselves in. I can tell you from my perspective, and Mike, you're on the P and Z.
Right.
The system worked exactly the way it was supposed to.
And we have that conversation quite frequently that it did work. The way it was presented, the way it was set up,
Yes.
the way the public participated and ultimately made a decision, it worked exactly how it was designed. And exactly what you said, Matt, there's all the wild theories that this was constructed, this huge project, but what everybody didn't understand and part of those nuances is that company was looking at that parcel prior to this, and it just so happened it coincided, and everybody thought this, that, and the other thing. But the education again to the public was, okay, we had this SDZ, but then we designed it to, you know, go through these checks and balances, and the public had the last opinion, so we proved it worked.
Listen, as you guys know, I can't participate in a lot of the meetings that in our town, unfortunately. I'd like to see that change in the future. As I get even older than I am now, I'll end up retiring and I can do more. But you guys go to more of these meetings than I do, and you know, it seems to me that we should be thinking about implementing an SDZ again, but I don't know whether or not there would be enough support for something like that. I really don't know, because I don't attend all the meetings. You know, I can tell you again, reiterating, this thing worked exactly the way it was supposed to, and the project wasn't acceptable and it wasn't accepted. So, you know, anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Just, if I may just interject a thought on that, Matt, which is, I think, as you all have been, as you know, and as you've been articulating, I think a lot of future acceptance of the SDZ is going to depend on what the project is that's connected to it.
Right.
And you'll just have to wait for the report. I'll let one shoe drop. No, but then, no, it's a critical sort of a strategy there that, you know, needs to be accounted for.
Mike, what's the what's been happening on P and Z in this regard? I mean, I'm not asking you, you know, to give me a vote tally or anything like that, but is this something that you guys would be thinking about moving forward?
We've talked about, you know, definitely exploring it again because it did work. There is support again for it, and as I know I'm repeating that we unanimously talk about how it did work. I believe that if it was at least talked about again and brought to the public's attention, and you know, really the explanation that this worked, this was designed this way, and you guys, your input and your vote, that you know, it would have the possibility of opening up again, potentially.
I can tell you, thanks. I'm sorry I interrupted you. I apologize. You're all set, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay, you know, I can also tell you from a communications perspective, strategically, thinking about this strategically, if the situation is as I described, which is it's associated with a bad thing, but yet we want to move forward, trying to get the exact same thing through again is problematic.
Mhm.
Trying to get something through that is almost exactly the same with some other safeguard in there would stand a better chance. See what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
Don't ask for the same exact thing over again because it's not going to work. Or
Right.
it's less likely to work. Ask for the same exact thing over again with a slight tweak here or there to say it's a little bit revised.
Mhm.
I'm not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes, but you know, let's listen and see what we can do to
Yeah.
propose something that is, you know, a little more palatable.
Okay.
Bill?
Point well taken.
Yeah. All right. Good. Anything else on that topic? That's commission goals. So we had increased public participation and look at our STZ and see what we think about that moving forward, and rely on our strategic plan update, and then develop goals moving forward from that as well. Any other comments on that subject, or no? Seeing none, I think other business. I don't have any other business to bring before the Economic Development Commission. Does anybody else? Nope. I think we're okay. And we moved the other things, so then we're open to public participation again. Joan, you're our public. That's all right. I don't want to just put you on the spot. It's anyone who wants to make a comment or a suggestion, please raise your hand. Oh, Bob C.
Yeah, Bob Shabbat, 17 Jared Sparks Road. Just a comment about the SDZ.
Yeah,
I'm on the on planning and zoning,
Yeah.
and yeah, the SDZ did work.
Yeah.
It needs to be massaged if it's brought up to the public again.
Yeah.
We were fortunate to have that because a number of us on PZC believe that kept the town from having to go to court
Yeah.
with that project. And people have to understand that there are several large parcels of land that don't have to have the zoning changed for a large development to go in. And with the SDZ, it gives you some say when the property is already zoned for what they want to do, because it allows them, it's a good working relationship for both the town and the developer. It gives the town an opportunity to see what's being offered,
Yeah.
and it gives the developer to show you what they're offering at a less of a cost because there's less detail.
Right. Exactly.
So it is something that we've talked about, and our last meeting, we talked about, yeah, the SDZ did come up again. And yes, it's something that's going to be discussed in 2025.
Great. You know, Bob and Mike, is there any information or input that you need or think about that you would need from the Economic Development Commission to, you know, aid, assist, or facilitate that moving forward? Go ahead.
I think the main goal, if we reintroduce the SDZ and bring that to public for public comment,
Mhm.
is that we have to look at what was so objectionable
Yeah.
the first time,
Yeah.
and take and knock the sharp edges off of it. So it's more palatable, and maybe people have a better understanding of what it can do for the town.
Yeah, agreed.
So that's all I wanted to say. Thanks.
Thank you very much for attending the meeting, Bob.
Sure.
With that, any other comments from the commission? If not, we'll have a motion to adjourn. No other comments from the commissioner or parent. I'll make a motion to adjourn EDC.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Everyone.
Thank you all.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.